So in this video, I'm doing the Vulcan 7 prospecting calls to listings that have expired or for sale by owners. And I get a list every day. And so I'm calling these in order to get appointments and then go to the appointment and get the listing. So you won't be able to hear the other side when I'm calling. Unless they answer, you'll be hearing me. Hello, this is Lily. I'm a San Antonio realtor, and you have a property that is a rental. I was calling to see if you're interested in selling that. So is that now or never? Okay, so they disconnect it. All right, so I go to the next one. So that was a for sale by owner and got a recording. And I let it ring 3 to 4 times and then go to the next one. So nothing there. I just kept getting recordings. And I keep track of all the calls that I make. And Vulcan 7 has multiple numbers that we call, and some may be wrong numbers. However, we start to eliminate them, and we put them on a folder of 1 through 10. So the first day we call, we put them on call 1 folder, and then we keep calling for 9 more days until we get them. If we don't get them after 10 days, then we put them on a no follow-up, okay? So when I'm doing this prospecting calling, I eliminate do not call numbers. I don't want to risk getting fined if somebody turns me in. Although some realtors do take the risk and call do not call phone numbers. As soon as somebody answers the phone, that is considered a contact. Even if they hang up on us and they heard a little bit of our conversation or questions, it's still considered a contact because we can call them back. Some of these expired listings may be canceled, that the owners canceled the listing before it expired. That's happening a lot right now. And we can still call those. The withdrawn here in Texas, we cannot call because they were withdrawn for a temporary time and they are going to be put back on the market. They're withdrawn for a temporary time. However, they're still under contract. Therefore, we cannot call those, and we don't get those delivered on Vulcan 7. So some of these expired and canceled listings will have, 3 numbers, 5 numbers, 7 numbers. Some will be do not call. Some will be wrong numbers. However, we call them all and go by process of elimination till we finally get the right number. And that's basically also in most systems, but Vulcan 7 has, as far as I know, the best system available with more accurate numbers. So I'm getting a lot of no answers, voicemails, and so I just go to the next number, until I get somebody. So I just went through 25 contacts that were expired, canceled, for sale by owners, or for rent by owners, and got to talk to one, right? A for rent by owner. And he's not interested in selling, and I started to ask more questions and he hung up. So I didn't get very far. So I went through the 25, and that was in 10 minutes, and it was actually 31 calls. In other words, it was 31 dials, 31 calls that were dialed, or 31 numbers that were dialed. And this is common. So what happens with phone prospecting with lead generating system, it's a numbers game and it's consistency. And so we must keep going and going and going until we do get a connection and get to speak with someone that will end up setting an appointment with us, and we go to the listing appointment, do our presentation with our comparables, and work towards getting the listing and then getting it sold. So this is one form of lead generation, and it is phone prospecting, having conversations with people over the phone, with sellers over the phone, not just any people. And there are other forms of prospecting to get listings, which I mentioned in another video, which could be for sale by owners, driving by, knocking on doors, sending out letters. However, the least time intensive is prospecting via the phone. However, many of us are very reluctant to make these calls because there's rejection, there's hang-ups. However, they don't know us at the other end of the phone, right? And we're following a script. And so this is the Mike Ferry script that I reviewed in a prior video. And you can watch that to see what the 11 questions that I used through Mike Ferry when I'm calling these expireds, canceled, for sell by owners. All right, I'm going to try a few more. So we get a list of expireds for sell by owners canceled every day. And it's recommended that we dial for 3 hours. However, that's a real challenge for me. So I dial as much as I can. Sometimes I make it to 3 hours. The goal is to dial every day, to do prospecting every day. And eventually you will get listings. So when I started this system, I received 2 sellers that I ended up getting 10 listings from. And from one seller, I sold 6. The other seller ended up taking them off the market. They weren't selling. They were a little bit overpriced. And he decided to go back and do his Airbnb and keep the lot. And other sellers I've been able to list and sell. So we develop relationships with them and hopefully get referrals. And that's what we look for. So I'm adding more contacts to the list, which is called the main folder. It's the call sheet so that I can continue calling. Okay, I'm starting my dialing session. So see, my phone is charging, so I can't show you the screen. Let me see here. So this is my program here for the Vulcan 7. You see Vulcan 7 right there. And so we get off-market properties every day, and they can be, as I mentioned, expired, for sale by owners, and for rent by owners, canceled. And then we also have a lot of other past off-market that we didn't get. Withdrawals, we don't call here in Texas. And then I put them on a 10 folder call list. So I call them 10 times. The first day that I call, they're on call 1. Tomorrow, I'll put them on call 2 if they don't answer, so on and so forth. And if I do talk to somebody from this list, then I end up putting them on another folder. Like today is in September, so I would put them to follow up in October or follow up before the month end. And that's how we start the dialing session. And we get what is called a whitelisted number from Vulcan 7 instead of using our own. I click do not include numbers from DNC, which it'll show them, but it won't dial them for me.